Hi, my name is Dan Kittredge. I'm the director of the Real Food Campaign and leading the series of courses on nutrient-dense crop production that's being sponsored by the Real Food Campaign and other local organizations in the Northeast. I'd like to convey some of the basic principles that we'll be learning for those who are interested, and hopefully they're valuable for those who are not attending the course as well. So the basic objective in biological systems, nutrient-dense crop production, etc., is to build the vitality of the overall biological system. And we can understand a lot of the pieces of that system and identify weak links in our system, and through identifying weak links and addressing them, build the overall functionality. So really all we're doing is addressing weak links in the biological system, in your garden, in your hoop house, in your field, in your orchard, whatever it is that you're growing. Understanding the biological system can help you identify what's holding back the potential of your crops. One of the basic assumptions that we have is that the DNA is not the limiting factor. The genetic potential of the tomato or the carrot or the apple is not the limiting factor. It's the environmental conditions that hold it back. So in the nature versus nurture debate, we're focusing on nurture and how to maximize the nurture of our systems. We're sitting here in my hoop house, which if I was not so busy running an organization and giving courses, I would be doing a better job in, but still it's doing decently well here. It's September, and I'm not sure if you can see, we're pretty well loaded with fruit. Over here there's about 5 or 6 massive tomatoes that are all coming ripe at the same time. And we've got a little bit of early blight showing up on these leaves, which is fairly normal for most production systems. But if you look in general across the hoop house, the leaves are green almost down to the ground. Most people have an issue with disease working its way up the plant as the crops grow, and that's generally a sign of weakness in the overall system. So one of the central points that we discuss, and one of the simplest things that growers can focus on, is just the basic soil energy level, which we call conductivity. And there's a simple conductivity meter you can buy for $50, and it's a very proactive way of monitoring overall soil nutrient levels. We focus entirely in an organic system. We're not using salt fertilizers, synthesized materials. Not that that's wrong or bad, but in general we're doing this through organic systems. So when we talk about soil mineral levels, those are soil mineral levels that have been built through organic practices. So part of what happens when people have a crop that's filling fruit is that the plant will pull the nutrition it needs to fill the fruit to build its body out of the soil. And say with cucumbers or with squash or with tomatoes, the fruits especially, they will keep flowering and fruiting until they've pulled out of the soil, until they've run out of something, whether it's potassium or phosphorus or boron or molybdenum, or there's just not enough water. That there are limiting factors in the system, and when those limitations begin to show up, then disease begins to show up, then plants die. And so most people are used to their tomatoes producing for 4 weeks or maybe even 6 weeks and then dying long before frost. The same with cucumbers, same with summer squash, winter squash, potatoes. All these crops people are used to having die before frost, and there's no reason for them to die before frost. They simply run out of energy, run out of nutrition in the soil. And that's one of our basic underlying understandings, is that our soil systems are weaker than they could be, and we can do a better job of building the soil vitality, mineral levels, biological community levels, aeration, everything, humus, of course. So what we have here is big, strong, healthy plants that are filling fruit, and they're while they're beginning to get us diseased slightly, they're still doing generally quite a bit better than other crops are. This was a hoop house that last summer, last fall, we got hit with a late blight in about October, shortly before frost or around frost. I had tomatoes in here, and I then again put tomatoes in here this spring, and we had that same late blight that was devastating to most crops show up here in June, but in a few plants, and through some basic nutritional management we're able to halt it in its tracks. So a lot of the principles of biological systems management are very valuable tools in not only increasing yields, but addressing disease and addressing infestation. If we understand the basic principles of how an insect's digestive tract works and what is digestible for it and what is not, then we can make our plants indigestible for insects. If we understand how fungal hyphae work, we can make the cell walls in our plants so strong that fungal hyphae cannot press through them, and we're no longer susceptible to fungal diseases. If we understand the soil digestive tract, which is the digestive tract of the plant, and we build that digestive tract, the soil life, the bacteria and the fungi and all the other soil organisms that are symbiotic with our crop plants, then if that is working at a high level, then the plants are being fed a much more sophisticated diet of food, effectively, and that goes into the crops. And that is how, through a healthfully functioning biological system, we can get much higher levels of nutrition in our crops. So that's when the term nutrient density we're using to refer to the actual amount of nutrition in every pound of tomatoes or every pound of carrots. It correlates with our tongues, saying something tastes good. Wine tasters have this very sophisticated palate of after tones, and has a fruity flavor that turns into etc., nutty this, nutty that. Our fruit, our vegetables, our foods are the same way. They should not have a bland, cardboardy, bitter taste. They should have a rich, flavorful, melt in your mouth, aromatic flavor. And that correlates with nutrient levels. And through intelligent management of the soil system, that is, as far as we're concerned with the Real Food Campaign, that's the objective, is high quality, high levels of nutrition in the food. And that's what consumers, we believe, truly are looking for. They're not looking for a biodynamic label or a local label or an organic label or a naturally grown label. They're looking for flavor, they're looking for nutrition. And so this course that we run at the Real Food Campaign and all of our other projects are designed to facilitate that objective, increased nutrient levels in the food supply.